I practiced as an Australian migration agent for over 10 years, and I'm going to give you an overview of the Australian visa application process. And I'll tell you some of the pitfalls to avoid. Hello everybody, Bonnie here, and here's Mary to say hi too. And today we are going to do something different, as we have been asked questions on Australian visas. When we first arrived in Australia, I took a university course in migration law and qualified to practice in my new career as a migration consultant. I am not trying to sell you my services as I no longer practice, but what I am going to do is give you an overview and some insights which may clear up a few myths that I hope will give you an understanding of the visa process. I will also share some funny stories. Every year I had to keep up my continual professional development, be registered with MARA, Migration Agents Registration Authority, and MIA, Migration Institute of Australia. Migration is extremely complex, and I am very proud to say that for every applicant that I helped, they all got their visas. Firstly, everyone coming to Australia must have a visa to enter, and you can only hold one visa at a time. So how do you know which one to apply for? There are literally over 100 types of visas listed on the official Australian migration website, which fall into several main categories. Each specific visa will have a list of criteria that you will have to meet in order to apply. What I found when I was consulting was the confusion criteria caused clients. They'd look at so many visas. By the end of their homework, they'd made up their own visa by muddling up requirements from all the different visa types. But you can't pick and mix criteria. The first step in the visa process is to assess your eligibility for an Australian visa. When I was practicing, these were the most popular visas, all with their own list of requirements or criteria. Tourist visa, come to Australia on holiday, yay! Normally up to 3 months. The working holiday maker visa, come to Australia and work and travel for a specific period of time. Business working visa, where a company would sponsor you on a temporary basis from 6 months to 4 years, and sometimes that led to permanent sponsorship. Skilled independent visa, this is the one Lewis and I came out on, as the term indicates we were totally independent, and Lewis had his skills and qualifications as an engineer assessed by Engineer Australia. This was a point-tested visa, and Lewis met all the criteria including age, qualifications, work experience, just to name a few. Not forgetting Lewis's profession as an engineer had to be on the occupation in demand list, which again is always changing. Family and relationship sponsored visas is where the sponsor is an Australian. These include parent, last remaining relative, de facto, fiancé, spouse, and same-sex partnership, each with their own set of criteria which easily got muddled up. Then there is the self-supporting retiree. I hear many times, you can buy your way into Australia. Well, actually, no you can't. For this visa, the applicant did need to prove they were self-sufficient, along with other stringent criteria. Then there are other visas, such as students, start-up businesses, and refugees, and so many more. Applying for permanent residency by yourself is difficult, and that is why Lewis and I engaged an agent. We were given peace of mind of what visa we could apply for and that we met all the requirements. It is just such a complex and expensive process to go through, and if you muck it up right at the beginning, you could lose thousands of dollars in application fees, as well as ruin your potential future in Australia. So that was my overview on visa types. Now I'll tell you some nitty-gritties of the criteria. Age is a requirement that differentiates right across the whole visa range. Some visas don't have an age restriction, for example, relationships. Some you have to be over a certain age to apply, parent and retiree. Others you have to be within an age range, working holiday maker, company sponsorship. With our points-tested visa application, so many points were awarded for the age you were at the time of application, within the designated range. Talk about being complicated! English, another criteria. For some skilled and business visas, you must have a level of understanding of the English language, including speaking, writing and listening. If your first language wasn't English, you were then required to sit an IELTS test, which is an international English language testing system. But there are other variables to this rule too. When you've checked that you meet all the requirements for your visa, there is a term that is used: criteria met at the time of application. So you are now ready to lodge your visa application with all your supporting documents. You must also pay your application fee. Without an application fee at the time of lodgement, the visa application is deemed invalid. So how long will you have to wait till you've got your visa? Visa processing times vary significantly, from almost immediately for a tourist ETA, Electronic Travel Authority, to years and years for certain parent visas. So just when you think you can give a huge sigh of relief when the application is lodged, there is another stage in the process called criteria at the time of visa grant. These requirements are for health and police checks. I always ask my clients to fess up at the beginning to anything they deem to be naughty about their past, and assured them that speeding fines and minor offences were okay. I'd also ask them about their general health, and again, minor ailments are fine. It is only major ongoing lifetime health problems that can cause visa issues. But any health concerns were usually backed up by letters from specialists, or the Australian health officers may have requested referrals. Mostly all visa applicants were checked to see if they had TB. So hurrah! If you've passed both criteria at time of application and visa grant, you're on your way to Australia. But wait, there's just one other thing. Visa conditions. Again, same as criteria, each visa will have its own set of guidelines that are called conditions. They are identified on the visa either with a 4-digit number starting with the number 8 or a brief few words. Now you will see that our visa had 3 dates on it. In our previous video, we let you know that we had just made it into Australia before the deadline expired. Well, here is the proof. Our visa states initial entry by a date and a date of visa grant, and must not enter by another date. No wonder we got confused. The complexities of visas don't even end there, as even though our visa stated permanent residency, it had an unseen condition to it. Had we gone overseas after a certain amount of years, we would not have been able to get back in. Many people overlook this, and it can be a shock when you are told at the check-in that you have no visa to re-enter Australia. Believe me, this does happen. An Australian passport will overrule that restriction, and you can apply for Australian citizenship, provided you meet criteria for that too. So here are my few wee tips. I suggest you consult a registered practicing migration agent and ensure they specialise in your visa category. Their insight, knowledge and experience is invaluable. As I said, I am not looking for clients as I no longer practice. But honestly, knowing what I know about migration law, you are taking a huge chance trying to do this by yourself. Look up what your 4-digit condition number means on your visa. A common breach, for example, was condition 8101, which means you cannot work in Australia. If you accidentally breach your visa conditions, there are serious consequences, so it is important you know what they mean. Read all accompanying letters from the Australian Government authorities, as this is where it will explain what your visa condition means and the vital information like our resident return visa. Be patient, as the process can take some time. I had a client who sold their home in Singapore, enrolled their children into private schools all before they had their visa. There are so many factors that can alter processing timings, like changes in government policies, so best wait for your visa grant letter. A common mistake people make is that they know a friend who migrated to Australia who is keen to help them, but unknowingly end up giving wrong advice. So only ask a registered migration consultant your questions. If you are confident, capable and organised, one route could be is you just pay for a consultation fee, get the right visa and continue by yourself after that. But for something as life-changing as this, I feel investing in the whole process is the better option. It is an additional cost on top of your application, health and police check fees. Another tip, migration law can literally change overnight. So if you meet the criteria of a class of visa, don't delay in lodging your application. I was caught out in that situation as new legislation was being introduced, so there was a mad panic to get my clients' applications lodged. Oh Lewis, look! There are black cockatoos in our garden and they're in our bird bath. These birds are beautiful. These are our favourite cockatoos. We love living in Australia, and this weekend we are going to stay in one of the oldest hotels in the historic Rocks area of Sydney, and we are going to a ceilidh, which is Gaelic for Scottish dancing. We are making a video, so please subscribe to be notified when this video comes out. I hope you have found these pointers useful. As I said, this is based on my experiences whilst I was practicing. I hope I have given you a basic understanding and would love to know your migration journey in the comments below. We love making these videos for you, and if you enjoy watching them, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching Lewis and Bonnie's Australia.